All right, peace world. Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind Sports and Entertainment live stream. My name is Wood. I'm the host of the channel here. I definitely had to get in here. I'm gonna try to keep this quick, breaking down this 71-63 win by the number six Dayton Flyers on the road against the UMass Minutemen. Um, they extend the win streak to what 14 as the thumbnail suggests, um, and go to 12-0 in the conference in the Atlantic 10. To keep it, the gist of it is Dayton is kind of it's got to be tough when you can't necessarily improve your standing with these wins because these aren't big name teams from the power conferences. So the opposing team has everything to gain. It's a chance for them to beat a top, a top 10, not a top five, but a top ranked school for the first time in some schools' history. And you can't really, and conversely, the Flyers really can't improve their standing unless one of these teams that are in the top five, unless one of them drop a game. So they're taking everybody's best shot. But they're just running away from these teams in these matchups. I came in a little later in the first half. It was right around after a 15-0 run had taken place. It was 25-15 with about 4 minutes to go. The Minutemen's Trey Mitchell. I didn't realize this kid was a freshman. I actually went to the game when they were here in Dayton at UD Arena. And looking at that kid, I didn't have any information for that game sitting in the stands. But looking at that kid, I just would have never thought he was a freshman. But he ended up with a phenomenal game, had 11 points to match Obi Toppin in the first half. But right when I came in, the commentator, I don't know what his name was. I think one of them was a coach. The color commentator, the play-by-play guy. I'm not sure who either gentleman was. The game was on NBC Sports Network, but the coach was making an issue about his storyline here with an upset bid by the UMass Minutemen was in order for them to get the upset, they were going to have to win the 3-point game and outshoot the Flyers from deep. And then he kind of made some digs at UD like they're just a 2-point shooting team. And I just thought this was I disagree with it. I don't think, and he did come back a few minutes later after a rally from the Minutemen. I believe it was him that made the comment where he praised UMass and then for some effort, and then went and said that, well, you got to get this done with defense and effort or energy or something like that. And I totally agree with that. And just some quick things and looking at the standings going into this thing. Not only is UD, 12, they were 11-0 going into this game in first place. UMass is down in the, towards the bottom, 10th ranked maybe, or 9th or 10th position in the league. But the statement that he made about shooting threes, you can't control whether or not you're going to be hot from three. You can't just, before the game, you can't say, hey, we're going to go 65% from behind the line, or we're going to shoot, 50% from behind the arc. You can't control that. You can control your defensive intensity and effort. And I think it kind of feeds itself maybe. And I don't know which one would have to be first, whether it's hot 3-point shooting or defense, but I think they would have to go hand in hand. And maybe because you make a couple of early threes, maybe the team is driven or motivated off of that, and then you step up the defensive intensity, and then they kind of go hand in hand to get the upset, to get the win. But just to sit here and say we're going to put all our eggs in our hopes and dreams of getting this upset on out shooting a team, I mean, we got to start with the facts and be realistic. And that would mean, and the reality of the situation is UD is the highest scoring team in the league at 81.2 per game. UMass is down at 69.2. So how are you in a big moment, even though you're at home, in the biggest game of the season for you, how are you going to be what you haven't been for 20 plus games, for 23 games or whatever it is? Also, looking at the field goal shooting, UD again leading the league. They're one of the top teams in the nation, but they're 6 percentage points in front of Richmond in terms of field goal percentage at 52.3% shooting. UMass again is down at number 9 in the conference in the A10 at 43% from the field. Now, if you're gonna tell me that the Minutemen are gonna outshoot the Flyers from behind the arc, that's another bad argument. UD comes in shooting the best in the league at 37.1%, while UMass is down at 32.9%, 33% if you're rounding up. So I just completely disagreed with that. UD is at the bottom in terms of that's a field goal percentage. Oh, no, yeah. They're down at the bottom, number 13 out of 14 in defending the 3-point line at just 33.6%. But you couldn't tell that by some of the results in the last couple of games of shooting, the shooting of the opposing teams. Looking at the box scores really quickly, team totals. The Minutemen shot 20% from behind the arc in this game, going 4 of 20. They did go, they almost shot 40% from the field. Conversely, the Flyers, again, 52.9, right at about their average from the field, 53.8% from deep. So much for being just a 2-point shooting team. And another thought on that 2-point shooting situation, the last few games that I've watched, one of the major factors is that with being a 2-point shooting team, if you want to look at the Flyers as that, I think it's a benefit because they're constantly tallying points versus going on long stretches where they don't score for 4 minutes. They don't score for 5 minutes. They don't score for 6 minutes. And that's what some of these other teams are experiencing and getting in larger deficits because you're hunting or you're reliant on the 3-point line. And a lot of times it just seems like the Flyers they use the 3-point line wisely and judiciously. And then you have 3 guys that shoot above 40%. I believe Jalen Crutcher is in the A10 best at shooting the 3. So I totally disagreed with the commentators, his storyline, his narrative about the Minutemen needing to outshoot the Flyers. It is a key part of it. Obviously, if you're going to beat a team, you're going to have to shoot a high percentage from the field. And, knocking down 10 or 11 or, 9 threes would be great. But it's got to start, in my opinion, on the defensive side of the defensive end of the court. Like I said, a phenomenal game from Trey Mitchell. Looked way better than he did here a few weeks ago when I saw him at UD. He finished 11 of 22 from the field, 2 of 5 from behind the arc, 2 of 4 from the free throw line, 10 total rebounds, 3 of those defensive. Other than that, he just didn't have a lot of help from the rest of his teams. He never was able to get an assist, as they did call out on the telecast. Diallo, he did get into double digits with 10 points, and then Pierre, he fell just short of at 9 points. Other than that, the other 2 starters with just 4 and 3 for the Minutemen, 4 and 3 points. Just not a lot of help here. I mean, and that's indicative of a team that's 4 and 8 in the conference. I think it was a decent game. It stayed within striking distance, even in the second half, to the under 12 media timeout where it was 46-39 UD. And then that's when Jalen Crutcher goes on this one man offensive explosion an 11-2 run all by himself. He hit that three-pointer at the buzzer to make it 49-41. Comes back on the next possession and gets the three-pointer to go for 52-41. Then he gets a layup to go 54-41. And then he comes back and hits another three after a UMass bucket. That pushed it to 57-43. So that was his 11-2 run that really kind of broke the game open, in my opinion. From there, Cohill gets that nice layup down the lane late in the clock. That made it 61-47. And that's kind of, like I said, over the last few games, with them being a 2-point shooting team, if you want to call them that, I think they get these timely buckets where they're, after most scores or a short run by the opposing team, somebody gets a nice bucket and they keep tallying the score. They did fall short of the 81 points per game that they're averaging, only getting 71. But, still they continue winning by the largest gap in the lead. I think I might have closed that out real quick. Margin, yeah. Their margin of victory is 15.6 in the conference. The next best team is VCU at 8.8. So, they're getting it done defensively. And then, riding that 2-point shooting, if that's how you want to characterize what's going on out there. Finishing it up, like I said, Mitchell continued to be a problem down the stretch. The other Mitchell, Colton, I think he went 1 of 4 from the free throw line late as they, kind of ran out of time and got a little desperate. The Flyers kind of had some mishandling of the ball. I think Landers had a late turnover where Colt Mitchell got some free throws. I thought it was one other. Toppin missed. I always want to go Toby. Obi Toppin missed a pair of free throws late in the game. That's where Pierre hit a layup to make it 67-63. We're like, what's going on here, fellas? Crutcher comes back and hits 2 free throws. UMass misses a field goal with 1 second on the clock. And it ends up being 71-63. So like I said, I didn't want to come on here and my battery running low. I was trying to keep this one rather short. The good guys win. Dayton Flyers moved to 14 straight wins, 12-0 in the conference, and just now can sit back and see what else happens, in college basketball the rest of the day. See if any of those guys do, anybody above them does drop a game. I didn't look at the whole schedule, but again, another good win, and continue to set things up for the end of the season. So with that said, please check the channel out in the future as we continue to talk UD Flyer basketball throughout the rest of the season. Become a subscriber. If you do like any of the breakdown, please hit that like button before you get on out of here. Make a comment, share, so on and so forth. Like I always say on Pay Me No Mind, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.